Welcome, everybody, to AWS Security Live from AWS reInvent 2024. That's a mouthful. I didn't mess it up. That's amazing. This is a show about AWS security, and observability, and compliance, and all use cases related, and solving some of those challenges with our AWS partners. I am one of your co-hosts, Ryan Orsi. I run a team of security, identity, and cloud operations partner specialists for AWS, and I'm joined by one of my favorite co-hosts.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. My name is Jacob Abbott, and I'm the Global Head for Partner Cloud Operations Specialist. So we focus on use cases and solution areas for our partners to help build new software offerings, launch detailed SI offerings, as well as other things with our focus on observability, cloud management, observability, and compliance. And I am extremely happy to have our other host on the show today, our special guest, Nandini Ramani, the VP of Search, CloudOps, and Observability. So, Nandini, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me on this show. I love being here. It's been an awesome reInvent so far. A little bit about myself, as Ryan mentioned, and Jacob just now, I run a bunch of services that are critical and crucial for you to operate successfully in the cloud, which includes some of the services like CloudWatch, OpenSearch, CloudTrail, like many of the things that we need in order to operate and have visibility into the cloud.
Well, fantastic. Thank you for joining us, Nandini. And, in spirit of its reInvent, and we're on Security Live, let's first maybe talk about there's been some innovation and some convergence also between the domains of operating your cloud and what people would traditionally think of security, attack, defense. We see them coming together in many, many ways, and telemetry is one of the things that kind of is behind that driving force. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So when you think about telemetry, right, the complexity, it takes me back to the time when I used to be coding, right? You had one box, maybe a redundant second box. You run a web server like Tomcat, something on it, and then you're off, and you knew exactly where to go when something was wrong. Now, we have an explosion of data. Everything is an endpoint emitting telemetry. And so we're on this journey along with compute and everything evolving on how do we make it easier for our customers to make sure that their end users are not impacted, whether it's by operational issues or security issues.
And under the hood, in my humble opinion, let's see if you would agree with this. Let's see what the real expert says. Under the hood, it's a lot of the same logging information.
It is.
Right? If a security analyst is trying to figure out what may have happened or did not happen, false positive, false negative, or an application monitoring expert is just looking for the health of the application,
exactly.
A lot of it's the same log information.
Yes. In many cases, it is exactly the same. It's either your VPC flow logs or WAF or one of those logs. So think about security events happen because, let's say, one of your instances is running an old version of Apache or some that causes potential for a DDoS attack or vulnerability, etc. Guess what? They infer that information from the same piece of telemetry. And it goes to the security team. And then when they want to fix the issue, they come right back to the developers who initially introduced that potential risk. So when you think about cloud operations, you want to keep all your nodes up to date with the latest patches, etc. So we have Systems Manager as one of our tools, services that lets you have manage all your nodes, whether it's on AWS, whether it's on-prem running on your own servers, or even in multi-cloud environments. So that's one thing where there's synergy between making sure all your instances are patched, etc. So you prevent, first of all.
Oh, yes. And Jacob, maybe you know, right, that some of the system integrator partners that are leveraging these services that Nandini is talking about, that's part of the, as I said in an earlier segment, the invent part is us inventing new capabilities and services, and the simplify part is also part of that story, and partners play a big role there, right?
Oh, absolutely. There's partners like Monty Cloud, Rackspace that are all out there doing these things with our services and expanding it to their MSPs, using it as an ISV for the SIs, and then the GSIs are adopting these services and building solutions for the customers that can pull all of this together, right? With CloudWatch, CloudTrail, Systems Manager, all of your services that you love, right? And I like Monte Cloud from an ISV standpoint. They actually built a solution for our MSPs, right? They can take these and expand.
By the way, I have not enacted the acronym swear jar yet, but most people know MSP is Managed Services Provider. But go ahead, Jacob. Sorry.
Fair. You didn't give me tokens to put in the swear jar.
It's coming soon. Coming soon.
But yeah, so taking all of these partners, we have the Cloud Operations Competency, which we train and all of these partners to help identify where these solution areas that they can fill with some of their third-party solutions, as well as some of the services from our native side, right? And tying those together.
And speaking of, we have integrations with partners too. All of our partners, ISV partners, GSIs, etc. So very supportive of customer choice. Like, let's give it to them the way they want it. Yep.
100%. And speaking of customers, they've been talking a lot about AI at this conference, Nandini. In your world, you run a very important part of our business. So again, how do you operate your cloud without using her tools? I don't think you can. But AI is here, and your team in particular has been doing some amazing innovations with this tool.
I'm super excited. First of all, like Swami said in his keynote, we're on this journey. We've always had AI, then we moved to ML, and now the next phase is generative AI. So last year we launched a few capabilities. First thing, natural language querying, right? Like many people use various querying languages like SQL, PPL, etc. Now you can just type in natural language and the thing will translate it for you. All of our services do it. Config, CloudTrail, CloudWatch, OpenSearch, they all have natural language querying. That's the first starting point. In Matt Garman's keynote, he announced Amazon Q Developer. By the way, Amazon Q Developer is the single only assistant that knows all about AWS services. You cannot find it anywhere else. So let's start there. And yesterday we launched in Matt Garman's keynote an operational investigations assistant.
Awesome.
And let me tell you, we have 17 years of being in the cloud.
Right.
So think about the rich data we have about our own infrastructure and services. So we've trained the models on our data, so it knows all the potential failures, it knows how to set the guardrails, it knows the topography of what you're doing, topology, sorry, and then what it does, it figures out and recommends how to remediate, where are some potentials. And the typical failure modes in most cases, it's either a deployment change, a code change
somebody did something, or it's a configuration change, and in many cases, it's a lack of capacity, like your auto-scaling didn't work. Right.
These typically fall into those three buckets. So this assistant can tell you what is the probable cause with percentage of conviction, because they do tend to hallucinate, and as Matt said yesterday, we're working on making that better with automated reasoning. And we already have a lot of usage. Obviously, we use our own tools internally. Speaking of, CloudWatch is used by both Amazon and AWS.
Eating our own dog food, so to say.
Or drinking our own champagne.
See, you're very...
I like that one.
So,
you win. You win.
Okay.
Nandini wins.
Okay, so, but going back to this, the Amazon Kindle group within Amazon uses our investigating assistant, and guess what? Their support team has reduced their support call time to resolution somewhere between 65 to 80%, depending on the use. Think about it. Just think about the possibilities, the art of the possible.
And at the scale, right? Like training this tool on our scale. I mean, there's a high watermark, and then there's where AWS has to operate as well.
Exactly. And because our tools are used by Amazon, which is a huge customer for ourselves, we're able to support all our customers externally as well. And so I encourage everyone to give this a try, kick the tires, because 65 to 80%, that is huge progress. And we are just at the beginning of this journey. A lot more to come
Oh, yes.
on that theme.
For those ops people that you deal with a lot, Jacob, I mean, that's gigantic. And not just in terms of, well, of course, it's time savings, but also what else can they do with that time in their companies and their careers? You're truly helping.
Yeah. Get back to innovation, right? Building with the tools that's needed for the line of business, right? Focusing on that instead of worrying about how to fix something, right? I mean, it's huge.
Exactly. And one other big customer ask that happens, talking about bringing security and observability together, is zero ETL.
Oh, yes.
Our customers do not want to make copies of the data. They do not want to maintain complex pipelines in order, which is what we used to do, extract all the time. We had to do that. Now, we have zero ETL between CloudWatch and OpenSearch service. So if you have logs in CloudWatch, you can directly query and run analytics from OpenSearch.
And the logs don't have to move.
They don't have to move.
No.
It's federal completely. We handle
Fantastic.
all of that complexity for you. And second, we've also introduced this in Security Lake. So zero ETL between Security Lake and OpenSearch.
Oh, that's going to open up
Excellent.
several use cases. I know lots of people right now that are looking online for what just happened. That's a very major one.
That was announced also in Chris Bett's innovation talk, so I encourage you all to go see it. And so we have lots of launches. That is one of the ones that we've done. And speaking of, we have so many features, and since these are my favorite services, I want to talk a little bit about
Of course.
So we launched database insights for Aurora.
Fantastic.
Aurora turned 10 years yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday, Aurora.
Yeah, happy birthday to
everybody.
Aurora, yes. So we launched database insights for Aurora. We also have many of our customers run applications on containers.
Right.
Last year we launched enhanced container insights for EKS. This year we launched it for ECS.
Fantastic.
It's another thing we've done. Also, something that many customers, especially if you're doing like online games or any user experience, right? You don't want degradation of your customers' end user experience, so they want network monitoring.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Because you want to know whether the problem is in the network, is it in your application layer, or is it in the AWS infrastructure? So we launched monitoring for network flows, which will tell you, it basically takes your TCP connections between your resources, and it can tell you metrics like packet loss, latency, so you know where the issue is.
Isn't that most of the game here when you're when you're in charge of an application for a company, just troubleshooting and narrowing down the universe of where the issue lies and the time it takes to get to that is so critical. I've been in that hot seat before in a past life, and you want to be able to have at least an answer of, it's in this particular universe. Of the multiverse, it's in this universe, right?
And as a recovering network engineer, it's not always the network's fault. We have that, so I have to put that out there.
I feel like there's some like defensive...
I'm just saying, it's not always the network. Maybe DNS, but it's not always the network.
It might be, but it may not be. And like I was saying, they usually fall into deployment and those kind of categories, but networks, that's another one we also launched.
Excellent.
I don't know what else is interesting to your customers.
Well, to the folks watching, I think what's really interesting to know is, well, obviously AWS has these tool sets for how to operate your cloud. There's a vibrant partner community that are using those services in very unique ways to help customers. Again, I use the analogy, I just bought a shed and I don't want to build it myself. I need some help. I need help carrying the materials together, putting it all together, putting the paint on, getting it level. So the partners that are out there, you mentioned Monty Cloud in particular, but there's also a whole slew of system integrators available to advise and consult for you folks out there on how to best leverage what Nandini's talking about, right? So again, you don't always have to do the learning on your own. There's plenty of companies out there in the cloud operations competency online. You can look at that and actually find folks that have specifically been trained. That is the challenge on our side, right? Nandini is she's moving so fast, releasing features and capabilities, and it's our job to make sure we help educate the partner community out there, again, so that there is support to build your shed.
And we rely heavily on your teams and the partner community to do exactly that. We're launching so many features, and discovery of those features in all of our tools is also hard. So we rely heavily on your teams as well as partner community to help us.
100%. And by the way, Nandini, you also take a lot of meetings with us. And there's there's lots of conversations we've had. I'd love to hear your thoughts on sort of future, where you think we're headed next, right? In terms of, it could be observability or management governance or just operating your cloud in general.
It's all of the above, right? Like what customers want is they want to be able to set up their configurations once, which prevents like access control, things like that. And then you don't want drift. You want it to stay put and not change. That's one set of things. Then you want to manage your entire environment, whether it's in dev or prod. You want to manage all of it as much. Because all of the stuff my teams build removes the undifferentiated heavy lifting so that our customers, joint customers between partners and us, can focus on moving their business forward rather than maintaining and doing all the things that we already provide.
And if I heard you right, Nandini, you should treat dev just like prod?
100%.
Is that well understood by everyone out there? Right? I've had a few meetings where that's not the case, and I just think that's a teachable moment, folks.
We do internally.
Yes.
I mean, that's how we troubleshoot at AWS. We use our own tools. We convert all the telemetry into spans, which is another thing we launched, and directly into logs. And that's how we debug. That's how I did it way back. Everything is a log file. This is a full circle coming back to the beginning. Everything is a log. The other main theme, which we used in my innovation talk as well, is we used the theme of Opsitron. The idea being...
Like it already.
Yeah, it's basically saying the sum is greater than the parts, meaning we build services that are individually powerful and great, but when you combine these services together, for example, the zero ETL between OpenSearch and CloudWatch, it's an even more powerful combination. Or database insights, bringing Aurora and CloudWatch together, right? So that using, I guess, like an analogy, we came up with Opsitron, which is a bigger robot that can do so many more things than the individual metrics bot or logs bot or what, you know.
Right. Using natural language, too. You've also helped kind of democratize this. We were just talking about Swami's announcement to offer, I think, $100 million in cloud credits for the education. So just democratizing access to this technology to people that are new to it and starting out, I think that's a very noble cause.
It's going to be a game changer. I mean, the features, like I said, 65 to 80% just for the Kindle team. Think about the art of the possible.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. It's amazing. Yeah, and the automation that you're unlocking as well. Just, again, I mean, when you're on the hook for resolving an incident, whether it's an application performance incident or a cybersecurity incident, again, everything's a log. It came from a human or their digital identity or their laptop or their phone, right? It came from something that can be drawn back to a log file. To stitch that all together and actually write the... I've been an analyst before. I don't want to write queries all day long.
Exactly.
And that's what you're really helping solve is like, you don't have to go write the queries yourself. Join this, join that. No. You can just ask the system to bring that to you and even suggest how would you resolve this?
How would you resolve it? And if you accept the changes, it can resolve it for you. If you're auto-scaling...
Are we talking Skynet here, Nandini?
Not quite there,
online?
but we're going to get there soon enough. But yeah.
You still need a human in the loop. We're getting a little philosophical
we're
now.
Going to need humans all the time. The thing is, I mean, think of it like we used to have IDEs.
Right. Yeah.
We didn't stop writing code. It just completed the code. That's how I view it. And like Swami said, we're going to need more developers to focus on upstack, moving your business forward, rather than troubleshooting and things like that.
Exactly. Well, Nandini, what else is in your agenda today? What are you looking forward to at reInvent?
My God, this has been a tremendous, fun reInvent. This was an awesome show.
Did we just have a highlight of the day for you?
This is the highlight of my day. I love it. Thank you, honestly, for having me on. This has been fabulous. I feel like a sports broadcaster sitting here.
I feel the same way. Yeah, no, I think the headphones this year are top notch.
They're comfy.
Jake, Nandini.
They're very comfy. Thank you.
They're very comfy. I hope your rest of your day is very comfortable. Thank you for joining us, Nandini. Folks, stay tuned. We'll be right back with Palo Alto Networks and Hart Rossman from AWS.
Thank you.
Bye.